Hello guys. So this is our first lesson for Algebra 2B, okay, which is all about solving rational equations, okay. So I split it into two parts. So this is just part one, okay. So what are rational equations? Okay, rational equations are equations that contain fractions. So anything that contain fractions are called rational equations. Okay, so these are usually equations that have variables in the denominator. So examples, you have now the following examples here. So you have 3 over x plus 1 equals 2 over 7. So this one has a fractions on it. This is a two-term, 1 over x over 3 over 2x equals 1. This is also a fraction. And the last one, which is x plus 2 over x plus 4 equals x over x minus 1. So our goal for today is to how to solve these rational equations. Okay, so let's have the steps. Okay, so basically there are two different ways. Okay, so the first one is actually by using cross multiplying. Okay, and then that is put a cross multiply of the numerator of the first one over the denominator of the second one, okay? And vice versa. Now, once you start cross multiplying, the other one is also um, finding the LCDs of all terms and multiplying the LCD to both sides of the equation, okay? So the first method that we're going to discuss is the cross multiplying method, which is part one. And the second one would be the finding the LCD, okay? Generally, when you find the LCD, once you do this, you do the two, then you're going to be using the algebraic techniques. That is adding, subtracting terms to both sides. To solve for x, you divide, okay? Or you use distributive property, okay? And finally, once you got to your answers, what you're going to do is basically check your answers by substituting the value of x that you got to the original equation, okay? Let's have an example. So this is an example of a solution for a rational equation that results to a linear equation. Example. Okay. Suppose you want to solve the equation x minus 9, sorry, over 3x minus 9 equals 2 over 9. So what we're going to do, this one is using cross multiplication. That is, I multiply x minus 9 by 9 right here. Okay. And 3x minus 9 with the 2 right there. Okay. So that's the first thing, I cross multiply. So if I cross multiply, this is what I'm going to have. So 9 times x minus 9 and then 2 times 3x minus 9. Notice that I'm going to be distributing the 9 to each of the terms of x minus 9 and also 2 with 3x minus 9. So it's going to be 9x minus 81 for this case. And then this 2 times 3x, that gives me 6x. And then 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. Okay? And then this is now the time that we're going to be doing the algebraic manipulation to collect all the x's on one side, all the numbers to the other side. Remember, when you try to move one term of to one side from one equation to the other side of the equation, you change the sign. So what I'm going to do is to move all the x's on this side and all the numbers on this side. Okay? Which means I'm going to move 6x here, and then I'm going to move negative 81 over there. So if I move 6x here, it becomes negative 6x. So it's going to be 9x minus 6x. While the other side, if this is negative 81, it becomes positive 81 to the other side, minus 18. So this is what's going to happen. Okay? And then I just simplify. So I get 9x minus 6x. That gives me 3x. And I have 81 minus 18. That gives me 63. So 3x equals 63. And then I divide both sides by 3, thereby giving me x equal to 21. So that's the final answer. Okay. Now, how do you know that if this is the final answer? You go check the result. Okay. So you check the results by simply substituting 21 to the x's right there on the original equation, the one on top, and the x also down here. And make sure they're equal to what? 2 over 9. Okay? So you guys basically do a bit of checking by simply plugging in. So notice I substitute 21 minus 9, and then 3 times 21 minus 9. Now 21 minus 9, that gives me 12. And 3 times 21 gets me 63 minus 9. Is that equal to 2 over 9? Now 63 minus 9, that gives me 12 over 54, which is that equal to 2 over 9? Now, if the lowest terms of this both are divisible by 6, which means 2 over 9 equals 2 over 9. Okay, so this just simply verifies whether your x value is correct. Okay, let's have another example. Okay, so solve the equation 6 over x plus 6 equals 5 times x plus 5. Okay, so again, method is cross multiplication. Okay, so when you do cross multiplication, you multiply 6 by x plus 5 and 5 by x plus 6. Okay, and then you distribute. 6 times x is 6x, and 6 times 5 is 30, while the other side would be 5x plus 30. Okay, then again, move all the x's on one side, all the numbers on the other side. So I get 6x minus 5x and 30 minus 30, therefore x equals what? 0. Okay, so I'm going to leave it up to you to check by just simply substituting 0 here and here. But it's just simple. If x is 0, it's 6 over 6 over here. And then if this is 0, that's 5 over 5, which is also equal to 1. Okay, so notice these are two examples that lead to an answer which is linear. Okay, now some examples lead to a quadratic results. Okay, in some cases, if it's a quadratic result, more often than not, there are two answers. There are always two answers. Okay, there are always. Okay, let's have an example. Okay, so solve the equation x plus 5 over x minus 3 equals negative 3 over x. So still cross multiplication. Okay, so if I cross multiply, that's going to be x times x plus 5 and negative 3 times x minus 3. Okay, and then when you multiply here, x times x would be x squared, and x times 5 would be 5x, right? And then the other side would be negative 3 times x is negative 3x, and negative 3 times negative 3, well, minus 3 equals positive 9. Now, okay, this is the difference. Okay, since it's a quadratic result, make sure that one side of the equation is equal to 0, which means I have to move this negative 3x plus 9 over onto the other side. Okay, so move that to the other side. Okay, so make the right side 0. So which means I'm going to be moving negative 3x, it becomes positive 3x here, and I'm moving positive 9 to become negative 9 over there. Okay, and then I simplify all terms that can be simplified. So notice 5x plus 3x, that gives me 8x. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is you can factor, or you can do the x thingy. Okay, if I factor this, each gets an x, right? Okay, and then we need to find factors of negative 9 whose sum is 8. Okay, what are those numbers? Factors of negative 9 whose sum is 8. So that's going to be x plus 9 and x minus 1. So 9 and negative 1, right? Because 9 and 9 minus 1 is 8, and 9 and times negative 1 is negative 9. So my factors are basically, okay, x plus 1 and x plus 9. Okay, which means the answers are opposite values of this. So we have two answers, which is actually what? X equals to 1 and x equals negative 9. Okay, again, if you want to determine which, if both of them are working, you try to check. So look at x minus 1. X equals to 1. I just substituted 1. So it's going to be 1 plus 5 over 1 minus 3 equals negative 3 over 1. Okay, and that gives me 6 over negative 2, which is actually negative 3 equal to negative 3. And also this one, let's see if it works for negative 9. Notice that when you substitute negative 9, you get correct answers. That it gives you 1/3 equals 1/3. Okay, so which means those two, and they're going to be two answers. Okay, let's have another example. Okay, so You're going to solve the equation x plus 7 over negative 8 equals 2 over x minus 3. Okay, so cross multiply again, which means this 2 multiplies x plus 7 and x minus 3. And then negative 8 times 2, that gives me negative 16. Okay, now you're going to FOIL method on this, or you distribute. X times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. 7 times x is 7x. And 7 times negative 3 is 21. Negative 21. And that gives me equal to negative 16. Okay? So if I simplify that, it's going to be 7 minus 3, that gives me 4. And 7 minus times 3 is going to be negative 21. Move 16 negative to the other side because we need this to be 0. So that's going to be x squared plus 4x minus 21 plus 16 equal to 0. And then you just simplify negative 21 plus 16 as negative 5. Okay, so basically you're going to give me factors of negative 5 whose sum is 4, right? Which is actually what? 5 and negative 1. So it's going to be x plus 5 and x minus 1. And take into consideration the opposite. Therefore, your two values of x are x equals 1 and x equals negative 5. So again, two answers. Okay? So we'll stop. This is part 1. Okay? So there'll always be two answers. One, if it results to a quadratic equation, there'll always be two answers. Okay? And sometimes it comes up as linear. Okay? So for your online classwork, okay, I'm going to be assuming that I already posted the way to create an account on DeltaMath because your online classwork is going to be on DeltaMath, okay? So please do problems on DeltaMath. Again, the website is www.deltamath.com. Create an account, okay? I'm going to put it under the topic Rational Equations Part 1, okay? So notice that the deadline for this particular classwork that you should be finished with would be this coming Wednesday, okay, at 11:59. So basically you have enough time to finish this once you watched it, and then you'll be fine, okay? Do you have any questions? Okay. If you don't have any questions, then we're done.